All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling one of the most, polarizing topics in the world of nutrition, the carnivore diet. You know the one, it's all meat all the time, a diet of total extremes. So the big question is this some kind of revolutionary path to amazing health, or is it just a really risky mistake? We're going to break it all down for you, using what we learned from 10 leading experts at the KetoCon conference.
And that really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? I mean, on one hand, you've got these incredible, almost unbelievable claims of reversing diseases and completely transforming your body. But on the other hand, you hear these dire warnings about all the risks. Now, our goal here isn't to tell you who's right or wrong. Not at all. It's to really get inside the heads of the people who live and breathe this lifestyle and hear it in their own words.
So, to get that real story, we're turning to the folks on the front lines. We're talking doctors, coaches, people who've been doing this for years, all of whom were at the big KetoCon conference. By listening to their best arguments, the pros and the cons, we're going to get a really unique inside look at what this is actually like in the real world.
Okay, so first things first, let's look at the case for going carnivore. What's the upside? I mean, what makes someone want to try such a restrictive way of eating? Well, the claims are pretty wild. Everything from a total physical transformation to some really profound changes in your mental state.
The number one reason, and for a lot of people, the biggest pro, is just effortless weight loss. You got to hear how Dr. Ken Berry talks about it. He didn't count a single calorie, didn't spend crazy hours at the gym. He just ate fatty meat, and his body changed so much that, his shirt buttons tell the whole story.
And look, this isn't just a feeling someone has. You can actually put numbers to it. Our source talked about dropping 25 pounds in only 3 months. And get this, without tracking anything. The experts we heard from say it's because eating fatty meat helps get your key hormones, like insulin, under control. And as you might know, insulin is often pointed to as a huge driver of obesity.
But it's not just about the numbers on the scale, It's also about actually liking the food you eat. Dr. Sean Baker, who's a huge name in this world, puts it pretty bluntly. He says that once you finally get off that sugar addiction roller coaster, a good, rich, savory steak becomes the most satisfying thing ever. It literally stops feeling like you're on a diet.
Okay, another word you hear all the time in these circles is healing. But what does that even mean? It's not always about fixing a specific disease. For a guy like Raymond Nodson, healing is more like this total sense of renewal. It's about feeling younger, having more energy, just getting a better quality of life back.
And that feeling of renewal, it seems to extend to mental health too, and this is a huge one for a lot of people. Take Courtney Luna. She shared this incredible story about being able to get off her antidepressant medication, and her experience isn't unique. It kind of mirrors what famous figures like Dr. Jordan Peterson have talked about, reporting a huge turnaround for his own lifelong struggles with depression and anxiety.
So what's going on here? Why does it seem to work for these people? Well, according to experts like Laura Spath and Robert Sykes, the secret is that it's basically the ultimate elimination diet. Think about it. You strip away literally everything except meat. That means you're getting rid of all the potential troublemakers, processed foods, sugar, seed oils, and even some vegetables that can cause issues for certain people. It lets you find the real root cause of your problems.
And then there's this other benefit, which is just how simple it all is. Radically simple. Nisha Berry puts it perfectly. Your trips to the grocery store are super short because you know exactly what you're getting. Just imagine how much less you have to think about food. It's like minimalism on steroids. You know what's for dinner? Every single day. But what about athletes? I mean, conventional wisdom screams that you need carbs to perform, right? Well, carnivore athletes like Coach Bronson Den say, not so fast. He actually credits the diet for slashing his inflammation, which lets him train harder and more frequently without feeling sore and just beat up all the time.
Okay, that's a pretty compelling case for it, right? But that's only half the story. So we have to ask, what are the downsides? Because the cons are absolutely real. And according to these same experts, they're often the very reason people quit.
The first con, and man, it might be the most intense one, is the social backlash. Courtney Luna just puts it out there, you get a lot of hate. When you go against decades of what everyone's been taught about nutrition,
You're going to have to deal with people who are just convinced you're totally wrong and that you're hurting yourself. And here's exactly where that friction comes from. When you adopt this diet, your entire belief system about food just gets flipped on its head. What you now see as the perfect fuel, others see as dangerous. What you might start to think is toxic, they see as absolutely essential. It's this deep, fundamental disagreement that creates all that social pressure. And this pressure isn't just some abstract idea, it shows up in your real life. Raymond Nason points out that almost everything we do socially revolves around food. Birthdays, holidays, just getting together with friends, it's all centered on food, and usually it's carby food. Trying to navigate that can feel really isolating and just plain hard.
But for the people who are really committed, they've figured out some strategies. The experts gave some pretty practical workarounds for these situations. Things like eat a big meal before you go so you're not starving, or just meal prep and bring your own food. Or, hey, you could even offer to bring a big meat dish that everyone can enjoy.
Now here's a really interesting paradox that Robert Sykes brought up. The diet's biggest pro, how simple it is also its biggest con. For some people, having way fewer food choices is freeing. But for others, maybe you're a foodie, it can feel incredibly boring and just not sustainable. It's really two sides of the exact same coin.
Okay, and we have to talk about the cost, because let's be real, this diet can get expensive. Dr. Elizabeth Bright, who's based in Italy, made a great point. Buying enough good quality meat to actually feel full, especially if you're, say, a young, active guy, takes a serious budget. It's a financial commitment that's just not realistic for everyone.
And beyond all the practical stuff, there's a psychological hurdle. Laura Spaeth actually describes it as a kind of grieving process. And that makes sense, right? For so many of us, sugar isn't just food. It's comfort, it's celebration, it's tied to our emotions. So giving that up for good, that can be a really tough, even sad, emotional journey.
And finally, there's this simple fact that just getting started can be rough. A lot of beginners go through this adaptation phase where they might feel tired or have some digestive issues. The advice from all the experts was pretty consistent on this. You have to give your body time to adjust. We're talking maybe 6, even 12 months. And a big tip, make sure you're eating enough fat.
So after hearing all these powerful arguments from both camps, what's the big takeaway? Well, the goal here was never to tell you this is good or this is bad. It was really just to lay out the entire picture so you can weigh all the evidence for yourself. It really boils down to this. It's a huge dilemma. On one side, you have this incredible promise. Effortless weight loss, better mental clarity, that feeling of healing, and this ultimate simplicity. But that promise is balanced by a set of equally huge problems. The social pressure, the high cost, the lack of food variety, and that intense mental battle against cravings. And yet, for the people who manage to push through all those challenges and find that this diet really works for them, their conviction is just absolute. I mean, after 5 years of eating this way, Coach Bronson Dance says he honestly can't think of a single con. Not one. For him, the benefits are so massive that the downsides just kind of disappear. And that brings us to the final question, the one we want to leave you with. It all comes down to a trade-off, doesn't it? Is that profound, simple, all-meat lifestyle, and all the personal benefits it might bring, is it worth dealing with all the complex social, financial, and psychological challenges that come with it? As all these experts have shown us, that answer is going to be different for every single person.